my guest today, today, if it doesn't pie, it will jar. That's it. That's in my own words. I mean, today we host one of Africa's greatest stage sensations, who has used his presence on stage to regale and educate his audience. I mean, his antics on stage has earned him the enviable title, the undisputed master of satire and king of comedy. If you know, you know. He's known by many stage names, including Sergeant Lasisi, my very personal favorite, Efia Srebo from Broadway, and to Firebrand on on radio, to the widescreens. I mean, he's etched his name into our hearts with humorous but thought-provoking, that is the emphasis, thought-provoking stage characters that mirror our social-cultural values and ills. Please, with all due respect and all sense of honor, join me as we welcome the emancipator of Ghanaian comedy, Kwaku Sintim-Misa, popularly known as KSM.
Making me blush.
We need praises and honor. It's definitely deserving. Sir, it's good to have you on here.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Welcome to the Wiley Leaderboard series. For this,
I don't want to cut you, but when I read about who was going to interview me, I said, why hasn't this guy come on my show? So I want to make a promise.
A promise, right?
Be on my show.
Wow.
Very soon.
Open invitation, man. I'm humbled. I mean, I grew up, I mentioned this earlier, I grew up watching the KSM show. I mean, I never missed an episode of the KSM show. Wow. And so to sit here today and have the opportunity, I mean, this is something I dreamt of, having the opportunity to talk to you. I mean, to listen to your side of the story. I tell my friends, I watched this man for about 7-8 years ask people the questions that were supposed to be asked. I mean, people share their stories on your show. Yeah. And today you get to tell your story, and who's talking to you? Me right here. Revo from Kumasi. The Osei boy is okay. He's right here with us. Sir, before we get into the interview, all right? One of your biggest fans. I mean, I personally attested that he's one of your biggest fans, because as soon as we mentioned last week that you're coming on here, this man has been coming here every single day.
Really?
He hasn't missed a day. He's been coming here every single day, and he's quite talented, by the way. So he decided to come through. I mean, we decided to allow him talk to you today. He has a few words for you, but he didn't come alone.
Wow.
We don't go empty-handed. I mean, you go with gifts. I mean, the three wise men went to visit Jesus, baby Jesus, and they went with gifts. So he's here. I'll just let him introduce himself. He has a few words for you and a gift, by the way. Lester, I'd be glad if you can lift this for me.
This is interesting.
So my name is Sintim-Misa.
What's the name again?
Sintim-Misa.
Sintim-Misa, okay.
Yes, so I run a company called Visual Multimedia. So, like,
Can we just unwrap it? Can we just unwrap it? I'm not liking this. Can we just unwrap it? I hate suspense. Wow, it's wrapped. So this is yours. I wish my listeners could see this, man.
Oh my goodness!
Listen, guys, we are live on George. We're live on Facebook. Y107.9 FM.
Yeah.
Yes. Nobody does this in Ghana.
Nobody does this in Ghana.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
My goodness.
That is you. Guys, we're live on Facebook, Y107.9 FM. On Twitter, Wiley the Boss uses the hashtag.
This is amazing.
Yeah, shown to the camera.
This is amazing. How long did it take you to do this?
Like 2 days.
2 days?
Yes.
That's it?
Yeah, 2 days.
Oh, this is beautiful. What? So you take a picture and then you...
Yeah, we paint it.
You paint it?
Paint it. We paint it with a PC first.
Bro, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. And trust me, people bring me paintings. They do that. They will show up in my office or something, portraits and things. But this is
beautiful.
Amazing.
This is the new look.
Wow.
New face.
And we
thank you
so much. Yeah.
I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed.
Thank you so much. And this NV Studios.
NV Studios. NV Advertising. I don't put anything on it.
Oh, there's nothing on it.
It's all yours.
Why?
Yeah, it's not mine. It's for the legendary. It's for the legendary.
Guys, man, I wish you guys were here. I mean, if you want to enjoy what we're enjoying here, kindly get on our Facebook, Y179 FM. The hashtag is still Wiley the Board series.
Wow.
If you have questions for Kwaku Sintim-Misa KSM. Kindly send it through.
I'm so impressed. Thank you.
And God bless you so much. All right. Social media handles in case people want to get in touch with you.
To visit your studio.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then I take your number and then we'll link up.
Yes, that.
Yeah.
Endorsed.
Thank you so much.
Endorsed. Can I have you a bit closer? Closer to the
Can I
microphone.
get a bit closer?
Yes.
This is fine?
This is perfect.
Okay.
Wow. So
This is fantastic.
that's the first surprise for you. I mean, today.
Oh, you have more coming?
Wow. I mean, so let's break it down. Okay, let's go deeper than deeper. I mean, one thing I beg of you is let's be as blunt as possible. I know you're going to do that for us. It's going to be fun, but we need you to go deeper. We need the deeper KSM.
You got it.
We've got it, right?
You've got it.
Oh, that's
You've
sorted. So I mean, give us a brief insight into your childhood. I have known you on TV for a while now. I mean, I didn't grow up that time. I would have definitely followed you because I mean I've been a fan since. But then for people who are new to KSM, I mean the ones who have known you but known you on screen, where did you grow up? How was growing up like in Kumasi?
Yes, and I see you are from Kumasi as well, right?
Boys.
I was a Chrome boy.
Yeah.
Then
Kwaku Estate boy.
Kwaku Estate.
Pepe.
Okay. Well, I was born in Swami, actually.
Wow.
At the time I was born, my father was the chaplain for Prempeh College.
Okay.
He was also the first, for Prempeh people who are listening, my father was the first Osset to housemaster. We used to have housemasters, yeah. So as a chaplain, he was a housemaster, and he taught English language and religious knowledge. Oh no, Bible knowledge, BK.
Okay.
So that's when I was born. I was born in Kumasi. I was actually born at the time we were living on the campus of Prempeh College.
Oh wow. What's the name? Sofola Runabout.
Sofola. You got it.
Where the market was. I mean, when last did you go there?
Pardon?
When last did you go there?
On our 70th anniversary, which was, oh my goodness, I'm forgetting. I was there for our 70th anniversary sometime just last year.
Okay.
Yeah, I was.
You saw the development at the front. I mean, there used to be a market right in front of the place.
Yes.
Now they shifted all of them.
Yes.
There's a new interchange over there. I mean, Prempeh, I love Prempeh.
Yes.
Truth be told, so I picked 3 schools after senior high school. I picked Opokuwari. I picked Prempeh College because Prempeh was like very close, like 5 minutes from my house. And then, fortunately or unfortunately, I got Kumasi Anglican. Well, I mean, it's fortunate now because that's what I got. But I always envied them. I mean, I'm in front of my house. Yes, Supercars.
Okay.
And these green boys would just be passing and going and coming, and I'm like, you people didn't pick me. I hate you guys. I mean, so you grew up on campus with all the students around.
Actually, I was born there.
Okay.
I think we left there when I was maybe 2 or 3 years old.
Oh, that was quite early.
I don't remember. Maybe a little older, but I don't remember much because I was a very, really little kid then. I still, when I meet President Kufuor, he would tease me that I knew you when you were wearing your diapers. Now look at you, So that was way back.
Way back.
But my dad moved from Prempeh College to Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST.
Okay.
And he became the chaplain there again. And he was also the headmaster for the KNUST secondary school then. Wow. And of course, he was also lecturing in religious knowledge and things like
Bible
that.
knowledge.
Yeah. So he became a chaplain. So we moved from Prempeh College to KNUST, That's where I grew up most of the time. So I went to the closest school, KNUST Primary.
Okay.
That's where I went way back then. I was in KNUST.
That was like
school.
one of the DB schools in Kumasi back then. Yeah, DB, like very DB. Anyone who knows KNUST school, I mean, I think the uniform was white and then brown down. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Such a DB school.
Yeah.
I mean, tell us how Ghana was like back then. I mean, while you were growing up in Kumasi around that time, how was the entertainment scene like? What was fun for you guys? What did you guys do for fun?
At that time I was such a kid. I was just having your regular fun, I don't know if you know the black and white candy.
Aliwa.
I just remember going to buy black and white, condensed milk candy, just having fun. I really didn't, at that time, was not looking at what's happening in Ghana now, what are the in-depth social, no. I was
None of that stuff. You just had your childhood.
Yeah, just had childhood fun, so I didn't see much. I think the one thing that I saw was when Nkrumah was overthrown.
Okay.
Because that was such a massive historical thing. Being a kid, I didn't know too much, but I remember how happy, the jubilation of many, many people, and what was happening to Kwame Nkrumah, you know. And at that point, it didn't really mean much to me. But those were some of the earlier memories growing up, was the 66 coup, you know, and I remember when General Kutuka was Lieutenant Kutuka, I don't know, him and the Free Fire, they came to Kumasi during the, you know, to come and pass through, forced to go and watch them and wave. These are things I remember. I didn't know their historical meaning or importance, but
you grew up.
I grew up on those things, you know. My earliest memory, though, is seeing Kwame Nkrumah.
Oh, wow, you saw him?
I saw him. The only time I saw Kwame Nkrumah was when he came to KNUST with the Queen.
Wow.
The Queen was in Ghana,
Queen
in
Elizabeth,
Kumasi, to come and open the Queen's Hall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the Queen.
It was that great. So the Queen herself came to.
The Queen herself
was actually named after her.
With Kwame Nkrumah. Wow. And I remember, because my father was a lecturer then, you know, being there and seeing Kwame Nkrumah, and I'm like, you know, it didn't mean much, but looking back, and I'm like, hey, I saw Kwame Nkrumah and the Queen together in Kumasi.
Wow.
Yeah.
Beautiful memories. I mean, let's still talk about you growing up in the home of a moderator of one of the largest churches in Ghana. I mean, a lot of eyes must have been on you or your siblings. There's a notion, was there a lot of pressure to conform to, you know, societal values and norms growing up in Chaplain's house?
And I give my father a lot of credit for that, you know, because we grew up in Osofofi, and like you said, so there's so much pressure on you. But fortunately, no, because my father was sort of liberal. And he used to say this, and I always remember, and I think I am also using the same formula for bringing up my children. Because my father used to say, you cannot develop your child. You can only guide your child to develop. You know, so my father's approach was, well, hands off. Let me see what career, let me see what their passion is. Let me see what their talent is. And as much as possible, let me support them and push them in the direction they want to go. Of course, he will correct you. He will step in when he had to. But generally, in terms of career decisions, growing up and things, he just gave us guidance, but he didn't like want to mold us like you care. You know, like I'm the Presbyterian Church moderator. You have to also go, I have to have my children getting into the ministry somehow.
You need to be a pastor somehow.
Yeah. He didn't do that. He just allowed us to express our own strengths. But of course, he gave us the guidance and direction. And one thing that I remember very, very well, Revo. Can I call it Revo?
Talk to me. I love it. I mean, I love it. It's Rev with an O, so Rev.
Rev. Yeah. Okay, I call it Rev.
No, but it's fine. You can call me Rev.
Okay. So one thing I remember was way back in 1977. I'm sure we'll get back. I'm jumping ahead of you.
No problem.
Give me a chance. When I staged my first professional play on stage, 1977.
1977.
Yes.
Wow.
Was that 42, 43 years ago? I don't remember. Then we didn't have the National Theatre, but we had the Arts Center. And I remember finishing the performance, and everybody was so happy and applauding. And I saw my father walking down from the aisle.
Wow.
And he came right up on stage and gave me such a bear hug. You know, so but that, I mean that's what I'm talking about. You know, back in those days, even theater wasn't respected or something that you encourage your children to go and
get into.
But my father supported us. He would come to the show.
Wow.
Not only that, but would come and give me a hug on stage.
On stage.
Yeah.
That's my boy.
Or the G-Cham. That's my boy.
The famous kid. I mean, so growing up, what was your dream career? I mean, what did you want to see yourself grow into?
A pilot.
A pilot.
Honestly, I would go, the few times I would see pilots in their uniform, I'm like,
I want to do this.
I want to do this. I want to fly a plane. I want to dress like this guy. You know, so that was what I was thinking growing up, you know. And funny enough, all the time I was thinking that, I had a very, very creative streak in me, you know. But it didn't occur to me that is where I was going to end up. I was thinking either a pilot or something, you know. But I had a very, very creative streak in me. For example, Revo, I would hear a story, And the minute I heard the story, I would get my friends together, my sister, Anima, the one I come after, Anima, well, here's the story. I want you to play this, and I want you to play that, I want you to play this, and I sort of stage a show for them to perform. I didn't know that was the inkling of a director at a very young age.
Wow.
Directing a play, but I had to come up with things like that, So I remember I had the laugh of that, the theater, the acting, but that for me, that was something.
That was deep inside. It was just in the corner.
The real thing I want to do
was a pilot.
And I think as you grow, things change.
Yes.
I wanted to be a pilot, and then later on, when I got to back in the day, we had secondary school. We didn't have JSS and SHS. When I got to secondary school, then it changed. At some point, I wanted to be a lawyer.
Hey.
Yeah, the A. At some change, I wanted to be a lawyer. So I wanted to be a pilot before. I wanted to be a lawyer.
The doctor come up?
No, doctor didn't come up.
Doctor wasn't in there.
A teacher.
Hey. Why?
I don't know. I just thought I would be teaching, not just a teacher, specifically political science. I wanted to go to university and teach political science. For what reason, I don't know.
Wow.
So it's been up and down, up and down, up and down. But all this time, the actual career was nursing, was for stage. And I wasn't even paying attention.
And nobody actually taught you that. I mean, it's something deep within. It's an interest, it's a passion that just springs up bit by bit. I mean, I'll tell you what. One funny thing, well, I'm relating to this very well, but it's funny. Mine is very funny. So you see how at every single point in time in your life, you had one particular career dream. Initially, I wanted to be a doctor.
Oh, you wanted to be a doctor?
Yes, and then along the line, I realized physics and biology wasn't easy. So yes, I had to bring it down a little bit. I realized, okay, I'm very good in economics. Maybe we'll do banking. I would want to be a bank manager. And then I realized, Charlie, accounting and balancing sheets aren't easy. So what if I become a political science lecturer? Because I'm very good with political science as well. And then along the line, I realized, okay, those things are the basics for being a lawyer. So maybe I might want to be a lawyer. And through all these, through this journey, there was this little interest I had. I mean, I didn't know it would be this big, but same way you had interest in the creatives, I had a vibe. I mean, something that had to do with journalism, something that had to do with presenting, but it was hidden because, I mean, you look around you and nobody else is really doing it. And so you're like, okay, let me just keep this on the side. Maybe it's something that I'm just feeling. So let me just focus on what I can do until you realize, no, this is actually what you were meant to do.
Exactly.
I really connect to this, and I know there are a lot of people out there listening who can connect to this as well. From Kumasi to Presec and then back to Prempeh again, two giants then now. How different were these two school environments for you, and what did each impart to you, KSM?
Oh, Presec. I still call myself Odadie, even though I went to Presec for just 1 year. But that was my first year in secondary school. That was my first year in a boarding situation where I was dropped off and left off, and I was by myself. So Presec gives me those memories. So I enjoyed my first year at Presec. Back in the days we had the homeowing where
I didn't experience that.
You didn't experience that? No. I think it was my year that they decided somebody got a little bit traumatic. So I think they made a law that we're going to end homeowing and things like that. But I went through it a bit. I remember our first year in Presec, they had to dress us like clowns. That was the initiation of Form 1 people. And then we sing a song. I still remember the song. Do you want to hear it?
Let's sing it. Let's go.
It's we were called Ninos because we were in Form 1.
Okay.
Nino is an elephant, the biggest of all creation. 1,000 balls of Kengen Nino. So I think you know.
I've heard this.
So we'll be marching up and down the school at night, on our orientation and things like that. So Presec, I have fond memories of Presec. But after 1 year, I don't know why I felt I should be further from home. Presec was just in Accra, and it was very, very close to where we were living. Then, when my father was moderator. So I decided, okay, I want to go far. And my father haven't been, what you call it?
Former housemaster.
Housemaster, Prempeh, and then the headmaster, T.O. Sign, were very, very close. So I think with just a phone call. My son wants to come there.
Connection.
Well, let him come.
Wow.
So I switched to Prempeh, yeah. But both are really, really great schools. Of course, I spent more time at Prempeh.
How many years were these apart? I mean, you being in Kumasi, staying on KNUST campus, and then coming to Accra, going to Presec, and then coming back. I mean, how many years did you spend in Accra?
Well, we moved. My when my father became moderator, we all moved to Accra. So we're living in Accra. I must have been in Accra for maybe 6 years or so before I went to Presec for 1 year, and then decided to go to Kumasi.
Did you connect with your friends when you went back? When you went back to Kumasi?
No,
Not really?
there's been, and Kumasi too, we're staying on campus at Tech.
Okay, so you didn't really.
Yeah, so I didn't really get the network. Yeah.
Did you have any classmates that are, excuse me, say quite notable now? I mean, apart from you,
From Tech?
Presec and Prempeh College.
I have very, very, what do you call it, little memory of my mates at Presec.
Okay.
But Prempeh College, yeah. Prempeh College, yeah. I have a few very, very good, outstanding alumni that are out there. Regarding my mates, what's his name? Charles Asari, who was at the airport.
Okay.
Yeah. When I was entertainment prefect, he was my assistant.
You were entertainment prefect?
I was entertainment prefect.
Tell us about it. Were you appointed? Were you voted into that?
No, appointed.
Appointed. Wow, because of your creative skills.
Because of the creative skills, yeah.
Tell us the style of entertainment back then. I mean, entertainment prefect. Your nights were the entertainment nights. What was a typical variety night?
Variety
for you?
night was. People will come and do talent display. Either they sing or they dance or anything creative, you know. We call that, what do we call that? I don't know. Talent night.
Yeah.
You know, then we have movie nights where we'll arrange and screen a movie. And then we had boxing.
Boxing night?
Yeah. We actually put up a ring and we have gloves, you know, so we had boxing.
And who were the boxers?
Well, people who are settled scores.
This is wicked. This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
Yeah, but we had a good. The sports master was the referee, so we made sure it didn't go out of control.
So this was not illegal.
No. It was done nicely as entertainment night, you know. And we had music night, where we just meet and play music and people dance.
People dance, link up with
You
their
know, then we had
friends.
TV night.
Wow.
Can you believe we put a screen, one TV screen on the stage and the whole
school just shared.
was watching TV. You know, we had things like this for entertainment.
Most parents, especially then, would want their awards to study for a white-collar job, but you found yourself in a film school, NAFTI. Did you have to convince them? I mean, you mentioned that they were super supportive of your career and that, but then were there any form of, you know, convincing, like, Mommy, I really want to do this, maybe you guys have plans for me, but this is what I want to do? How was that period like for you?
No,
I mean, before you moved to NAFTI.
When I finished sixth form, Revo, I failed miserably, man. My A-level results was a disaster.
Wow.
My A-level results was a disaster, man. So I had to take back and sit home another 1 year to redo some of these papers, you know. So after I've gone through that, then I read somewhere that there was an opening that NAFTI was starting. You know, so we were the pioneers of NAFTI.
Wow.
And so what I read about, they learn film, they learn editing, they learn directing, all this stuff, they're all part of the creative stuff anyway. So I was like, wow, I don't think I mind this, you know. I don't mind going to NAFTI. And so I think I took an interest in that and applied. You know, and things went so well with my application, with my interviews and everything, I decided I was going to NAFTI. So guess what? I still don't know what the results were, even though I resat the A-level.
So in the course of you waiting for the results,
I went to NAFTI.
You went to NAFTI.
Yeah.
After NAFTI, you could have set out to, you know, work in the film industry back then. I mean, which was way better. But you decided to take it a notch higher by pursuing a master's degree in fine arts
and the funny
abroad.
Thing, it wasn't like after NAFTI. I didn't finish NAFTI either.
You didn't finish NAFTI either?
No, I left. I went to NAFTI for 1 year. And during that 1 year, I started my performances. There was a show that they called Mellow Madness. And it was just me playing 7 characters. I think is one of the most intensive shows I've ever done in my life, because I wasn't just playing the characters like on stage, changing my voice or anything. I would go backstage, come on as a different person. And I'll change language, I'll change
script, tone, everything.
Yeah. So that play was really, really popular. And at one time, the U.S. Embassy, I think it's July 4th, is their independence.
Independence Day, yes, July 4th, yeah.
So I knew the cultural attaché. So the cultural attaché, his name is Richard Overtev.
Okay.
Then, well, he's still called Richard Overtev, but I knew him then. He says, hey, Kwaku, come over to the USIs and give us a performance of the show. He had come to see the show at the Arts Center.
Okay.
So he sort of encouraged me to perform at the U.S. Information Center back in the day, for the diplomats and the U.S. staff and everything. And they loved it.
Wow.
Guess what? He was the guy that told me, I think you should go to the U.S. and do some studies in acting and script. Take this further, basically. So, Revo, my first visa to the U.S., I didn't go for an interview.
Hey.
Richard Overtev waived it. At that time, I don't know if they still do it.
But there are waivers in special situations.
So he just wrote a note for me to take to the embassy.
That means you were that big.
Well, I was that respected, I guess. But the show was that big, Mellow Madness. And so I'm mixing things up. So it was at the same time that I was just finishing off my first year at NAFTI. And then I got this opportunity to go and study in the States. And I got a visa because the cultural attaché had given me waiver to just go and get my visa. Now I have to say something here. There was one guy that I went to primary college with. His name is Maxwell Eduse. And if he's listening, Maxwell was the guy who was encouraging me because he went to school there.
Okay.
And he always wanted me to come there.
Oh, wow.
So he had me apply, helped me apply. And so I'd gotten an admission. And they had given me scholarship. All I needed was a visa to go there. Richard Overtev waived it for me. So that's how I ended up in the US after NAFTI. So I didn't really finish the full. After 1 year, I left from NAFTI and went to study my undergraduate in theater.
So after NAFTI trained you, and you became popular,
yes,
and Mellow Madness was the thing, you had an opportunity to travel, and then you just left them.
And I left NAFTI. But guess what?
Tell me.
When I came back, after many years, when I moved back to Ghana, 1996, I think, Revo, my first stop was NAFTI.
Wow.
And I said, listen, I am here. I love everything I've been through with NAFTI. I'm now back from the US with my master's in filming, and I love to teach here for free.
You thought for free?
No, that's the offer I made them.
That's the offer you made them.
I'm still waiting. Maybe they'll come tomorrow.
Maybe I think they didn't like the fact that you left them.
I don't know, something.
Maybe,
but they all looked excited.
Until they went back to the records and, is this the same Kwaku Sintim-Misa that left?
Maybe he's the one that left.
Don't allow him. Don't let him come back. Don't let him come back. Don't let him come back.
But I was making up for leaving them like that.
Wow.
So I went and I offered to teach for free. And now that I'm almost retired, if they bring the offer, I'll probably be my retirement thing. Anyway. So I did try to go back to NAFTI.
I want to find out, all right, your days in America. I mean, this was your first time leaving Ghana, right? Did you have family members there? People you lived with? I mean, tell me your first day you landed in America. Tell me the experience.
Beautiful. The first day I landed in America at the JFK airport, it was just stunning. You know how you dream about something
so well.
And then you get there.
And it's here.
It's here. I'm in the US. It was quite an amazing, almost surreal experience. And I had met a friend of mine on the plane for the first time. One guy called George Amwa, who was also going for the first time. But he had family in New York. So when we arrived at JFK, I had to continue and go to Connecticut where my school was. Okay. And he says, let's spend the night with me, so we can, be with my friends here, my family. So I spent the first night in New York City with George Amwa in their place, and I was like, wow, there was a guy there who had been in acting, And Ghana, New York and acting is like, so this guy, I mentioned that I want to come and do theater. I was doing a bit of in Ghana. This guy got excited.
Wow.
Acting is this. He was talking about, watch this film. Do you know Dustin Hoffman? Do you know Jack Nicholson? He was so excited that I was coming from Ghana to the US to do acting. So we became buddies right there.
Cool.
So that was my first night in, until I flew to Hartford. And then I realized, Hartford was a little slower, quieter.
Less populated.
Less populated. Yeah. And my friend Maxwell, he came to meet me.
Oh, your bugger friend.
Yes.
Wow.
He's in Ghana right now. He's been stuck by the shutdown of the airport.
Did you enjoy your stay in America?
Oh, I had amazing experiences. I enjoyed plenty. I went through some horror.
Wow.
I remember when I used to sleep on the train.
You used to sleep on the train?
I slept on the train because they had evicted me, Revo. I came home from NYU, went to my apartment, and then there was an eviction notice. Of course, it was locked,
Because you couldn't pay your hostel fees?
I was so late on rent, and I kept promising. Nah, the thing too wasn't flowing. So that evening, because I got home late, it was locked. I didn't know who to go to. So the only thing I could think is, okay, go and spend the night on the train, So my station was called Avenue H, and when you take the train there, it goes all the way for those people who know the distance to the Bronx, the last stop in Bronx.
Yeah.
And then comes back.
Goes through the Grand Concourse.
Yes.
Mosholu, and all the way to the end.
You got it.
Wow.
So I just will go and pay, stay on the train, sleep. So it'll take me all the way to the end, and then come back.
Wow.
So I remember days like this, man. And sometimes I'm like, hey, let me that train more.
Wow, you actually slept on a train.
I slept on the train. I couldn't.
People should get it right. I'm not sure you slept on what's the name? The Amtrak.
No.
You slept on the 1, 2, and 3
New City
train.
Subway.
It's just a seat. It's the hard seat.
Thank you.
My God.
It wasn't an Amtrak train. It was hard. So these are some of the things that I went through. I'm like, wow, Nipa for Bim, And I remember finishing New York, and I'm proud to say I did 2 majors. In 3 years. Normally, it's a 4-year course to get your major, undergraduate. 4-year course. I decided I'd do a double major, so I have a degree in theater and a degree in communications.
Wow.
And I decided to do a double major. So one was not like major and the other one was minor. There were 2 majors. And incidentally, I did it in 3 years.
Instead of 4.
Instead of 4. I'm saying this to make a point, And I thought this was the most amazing feat to be accomplished. And Revo, after that, let me hear you. I would interview and I was flopping left, right, center. I said, hey, guys, wait a minute. I have a double major. And I did it in 3 years.
3 years. I didn't do it in 4 years.
No.
And still you were not getting a job.
But then again, I started understanding why I wasn't getting a job. It's very, very easy to say, so you're in America, it's like, it's racism, because I'm black. It's easy, because that happens. But I realized that no, I had no idea that interviewing for a job in itself was an art. There was a strategy to it. I had no idea how to put your CV together and let it breathe. I just think you put everything
Put life to it.
Yes. So after several failures of not getting a job, in the meantime, because I wasn't getting the job that I wanted, let me clarify it. I had to do other jobs like KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Wow.
I worked there as I was frying chicken. And Charlie, you can't mean me.
This is a chef along the line. I mean.
Wasn't there be a chef?
you were just frying it.
Just a chef there, to do many things.
You also just make sure it's fried.
Yes.
To this level, and then bring it back.
So I had to work for Kentucky Fried Chicken, frying chicken. I had to work as a parking lot attendant at the Hilton Hotel in Hartford. People parking and then me giving them tickets.
Wow.
I had to do valet. So I'm just saying all of these things that when you're going through, you think God is not on your side. You think you're suffering. But no, they're just amazing opportunities to learn and to improve. You know, I wrote a book called Unlocking the Job Market, which was like one of the biggest selling books in Ghana. And how to craft your CV, interview skills and everything. Revo, how did I learn this? All the time I couldn't get a job in the US.
In the US.
And I was reading and I was preparing. I was learning.
Wow.
You know, but during those times I could have sons say, "Let me feel in your crowd."
You could have
2
given up.
degrees. I could have sons say, "Me feel in your." That which means that
I know how hard that is because you know, a lot of the guys that know me, well, people who know me very well. I also went to Legon, did a combined major, so it wasn't like you're doing one minor, one major. Like it's hard, it's tedious.
Combined major.
Yes, combined major. Everything is on the same level. If you're doing exams for this, you're doing exams for that same volume.
Yes.
Heaven is just that it's 2 different things. So I mean, to go through all that and come out and you're not finding a job. The average person will be frustrated. I mean, frustration will definitely set in, and that is when you start looking at options that are less. But you didn't do none of that. I mean, you just had to do things, makeshift things to keep you going on.
To keep me going. Yes.
Wow. You were the first African to stage on original off-Broadway play with Thoughts of a Confused Black Man. Would you be kind enough to tell us how you know, it materialized and what made it such a huge hit?
Okay, thank you. Masa, I could take my background.
That's a two-form.
Yes, I did a show called Thoughts of a Confused Black Man. And when I started the show, I started from a very dingy old theater in Manhattan. You know, by the way, those of you, let me explain. When we say off-Broadway, the main place you want to be is Broadway. That's the highest. On Broadway too is great. It means that from there you have your foot in Broadway. You know. So anyway, I did start off Broadway. I started in a dingy theater in Manhattan, and this show was called Thoughts of a Confused Black Man. And the show was about an African who had gone to America, had had interactions with African Americans, the Black Americans, and had realized that there was something similar between the two of them. You know, the African American, they went through slavery to get to where they are. The African went through colonialism to get to where he is. But in the show, I was looking at the impact of slavery and colonialism on the African, on the black person.
Confusion they put on.
Confusion, and it was almost all the same. So that triggered Thoughts of a Confused Black Man, which I did. And the first time I performed it was in a church. There was this radical pastor called Reverend Daughtry. He had a church in Brooklyn called House of the Lord Church, and he had a little stage theater there, you know, seating about 50 people. I don't know. So when I finished the show, I said, "Okay, let me try it out." So Daughtry gave me his space to do Thoughts of a Confused Black Man, and the reaction of the church, I said, "Charlie, I've got something. It's time to move this."
Wow.
You know, so I moved it from House of the Lord Church to the dingy theater I was talking about on 23rd Street in Manhattan. This place was so bad that on the night of performance, I have to make sure I get there with some good Ghanaian friends to go and clean the toilets, get toilet roll. I have to buy my own lights for the stage lights. That's how bad the theater was.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah. But let me tell you one of the best stories in my life. One evening, it had really snowed. It was very, very cold. Right? The theater seats about just 150 people. It's not a big theater.
It's not the biggest one.
Yeah. So this cold night, I was backstage, you know, preparing, and then the stage manager came and said that they didn't call me KSM, then it was just Kwaku. You know, it came and told me, Kwaku, there's only 2 people out there, and they say because it's so cold and because it's only them, if I decide that I want to cancel, they're okay.
Wow.
They will take their money and go. Then Revo, I said, no, the show must go on. They have come through the cold to come to see the show. Why am I going to let them go? I will perform.
So you perform for 2 people?
I perform for 2 people, Revo. And I'm not kidding, it's probably one of the best performances I've ever done.
Why so?
Because they were so engaged in what I was saying.
You could
they
connect
were
with them.
laughing, they were applauding, they were really intense, and I could feel their energy on stage. And it was amazing, you know. But guess what? After the show, They came to tell me that they are still at the theater and they say they want to see me before they go.
Wow.
Wow. So I go to see them. I'm talking to them, and then one guy says, "Oh, by the way, I'm Tony Andrisakis." And Revo, anybody who knows anything in theater then would know Tony Andrisakis.
He was a big shot.
Big shot! So I was like stammering. Tony
This performed for you.
That's you. He said yes.
Wow.
He said the show was marvelous. And then told me that he has to move it from this dingy theater. That's the way they use it. I'm using the word because I borrowed it from him. He says, "Oh, we have to move this thing from this dingy place." You know. So guess what? He was the one that moved the show from the 23rd Street Little Theater in Manhattan to off-Broadway. It was called the Misa Theater, which was off-Broadway. He was the one that financed everything and moved the show off-Broadway. And that's when the show took off.
And so imagine you had said, because there are only two people, I won't perform.
Thank you.
You would have missed such an opportunity.
Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. And they
Inspiring.
offered that.
You didn't even ask for it.
Pardon?
You didn't even ask for it. It was offered.
No. All I said, I said the show must go on. If they've come through the court to see it, I don't care if there's only one person.
Wow.
And so he moved the show from off-Broadway and took, from that dingy theater, which would have been off, maybe 100 off-Broadways to off-Broadway, Mesa Theater, and I'll never
Like
forget
this
it.
close to Broadway.
This close to Broadway.
Yeah.
This close to Broadway.
Wow.
But again, I messed up again.
You did?
Yeah, I messed up big time. Because some guy came to see the show off Broadway and thought it was fantastic. And Revo promised me he was going to take it to Broadway.
Oh, wow.
And the biggest mistake I had made in my life up to that point, and even still, was that I agreed and signed a contract with them because I wanted to get to Broadway. And him in there. It didn't happen.
Wow.
It didn't happen. All he wanted to do, by the way, was to just take the rights of the play from me. Because I was so crazy.
Exactly.
And let me advise people to never sign a contract until you had a lawyer review it who understands what you're signing. Because from what he explained to me and the contract I signed were two different things. But I didn't care. Oh, what do I sign? What do we call Broadway?
I mean, the offer sounded good.
Oh, it sounded terrific. So I didn't know I had signed away my life. I signed away the rights to the play. He had the right to decide
what happens to it, yeah, and who plays it.
Yes. And apparently he had lined up some actors
For that.
role.
Wow.
He was going to audition some whole new set of actors and put them on stage. But I don't know what to say, God being good or the world being mysterious.
Wow.
Nobody could audition and deliver the show like I did. I hear he auditioned over 75 people. And he wasn't happy with any of them. But then again, I had lost rights to the play. Because I signed away.
You signed it away.
Yeah, I was going to Broadway.
Was there money involved?
When I signed?
Yes.
Yeah, he gave me some upfront consideration thing. But the money I was looking for was the Broadway
one, yeah.
kind of cash, not
The big cake.
The big cake, not the Nokofio I got upon signing. Even though I think he ripped me off, it could have been bigger.
This might have been a big blow to you, personally.
Oh, Massa. This was the biggest blow, and I didn't even know how. I was so sad. I was so confused. I was going through such emotions. Because it's like, that's all I could do. My whole life was Thoughts of a Confused Black Man.
Yes.
It got reviews in the Village Voice, which is a very outstanding paper. One Dan Friedman, who was reviewing the show, then said, this is equivalent to any great Broadway play he has seen. You know, so can you imagine sending it off and then getting to realize that you can't even perform the play?
Yeah. Your own work.
My own work. I was crushed.
And confused.
I was going to thank you very much.
A confused black man.
Revo, I was a confused black man then.
Yes, then.
You know?
Would this by any chance account to the reason why you left America and returned to Ghana?
Revo, what been? And then one day. Yeah, definitely. I just said, it disgusts me, you know. It disgusts me. And right about then, I think the film industry was sort of picking up in Ghana. And you know how you meet people and they can give you a pour like so this guy met me, he says, but you crack KSM, you have your masters in film. And by the way, I was able to get some very good experience in film too. Thanks to one guy called Gil Noble, who was a producer and an executive producer on ABC TV.
Okay.
He actually commissioned me to do a screenplay for one African congressman called Adam Clayton Powell.
Okay.
Great. And at the time, for the screenplay, I think at the time, Charlie, somebody was suffering and hustling around. They made me an offer of $25,000.
You were good. You were sorted.
Sorted! Thank you for the word. I was sorted. So I went through that, So I thought I had, gone somewhere now with that experience and everything. Maybe when I met this guy from Ghana who said, Charlie, the film industry is booming and it's about to take off, and this is the time that you should use your experience and everything, go back home. I say, bingo, you got it on the money. So that's when I decided that I'll come home, and get to the film industry and take over. And so thank you.
And you remember the first day you came back?
Yes.
How it was like? What did you do when you got back? The first day.
The first day, I went to my sister's house in Dansuma to eat banku.
I mean, you were getting it in America.
I was getting it, but there's nothing like my sister's one. No, it wasn't banku, it was fufu.
Yeah.
Or Dansuma.
Okay.
No, I was getting there, but when I was coming to Ghana, that was one of the best things I was thinking about, how I'll go to Dansuma and have my first fufu and things. So coming to Ghana was good, I was like really energized to come. And when I was leaving the US, I did one film called Wages of Sin. I invited my sister there, we did this film. So I was going to come to Ghana to launch the Wages of Sin, and that was going to be my introduction to Ghana film industry. And so that's why I came back. But it didn't quite work out that way, but
and
I don't make us so. We need technical use here for our
no, but we're not even halfway through it.
This Broadway Express I'm talking, how I was raised.
These are so expensive stories. I mean, I remember this very well personally because when I started watching the KSM show, there were times you would talk about it. There were excerpts from the very many stage editions you did of this. The return of the saga of the returnee. That was your first foray into theater in Ghana.
Yes.
This play mainly highlighted some of your frustrations with the system. Just how really frustrating was it for you upon return to the motherland? You had been away for a while. You came back to Ghana, system saying, how frustrating were these times for you? What were the particular things that inspired you to put out such a great, piece?
Revo, I wish I could line up all the things that inspired me, but honestly, what inspired me was that I took a bet with my wife.
Okay.
Because when I came back to Ghana, I got into radio, something we may talk about later. And so I was so involved in radio. One time my wife called me and said, do you know, now all you do is make noise on radio. I don't even think you know how to do a play on stage anymore. And I said, what do you mean? You never lose that. So it was like an argument between me and my wife, and she sort of dared me, okay, prove it. So the saga of the returnee was written in reaction to a bet I had with my wife. She's called Mavis now, if she's listening.
I'm sure she's listening. Auntie Mavis, you did a good job.
So in proving to Auntie Mavis, I'm calling her Auntie Mavis too, in proving to her that I still got it, I came up with the saga of the returnee. And I just decided, since I've returned from America and I've had so many frustrations up and down, let me concise all of that into a one-man play called The Saga of the Returnee and perform it. And I did the performance and it just blew everything. So she is responsible, and it came out of a bet with my wife, the saga. And once I did the saga and the reaction was so good and people would just love the saga, I just said, okay, let's continue. So then I came up with Politically Incorrect. Then I came up with the Fiasco boy that came with Lasisi.
Which is my favorite.
You know your favorite is the Fiasco boy.
It killed me. I mean, it killed me.
Yeah.
The accent and the tone. I mean, I knew it was him. I'm like, oh, it's him. But I mean, we're switching the Accra. You mentioned radio. I mean, let's just go on that before we move on to the next one. You established yourself as a fire brand in the late 90s, of course, with a no holds barrier or bed or no holds bed, approach to dealing with national issues. I mean, you never held back when it came to addressing the issues that you addressed back then on your show. Some argued you softened up with time. I mean, people who knew you back then are saying you are like a cooler version of yourself. Did you give up at a point? Were you pressured to give that up, or you just decided to adjust the system, or basically you decided to grow into a different form?
Very, very, very powerful question indeed. I'm trying to figure out how I approach it. Yeah, people say, they want Joe. Hey, talk shop days, you know. I was a firebrand, as you put it, you know. What I realized though, after being on there several years, is that the approach I was using, I had a different notion of how effective it would be.
Yeah.
I was this retaining who was going to change Ghana. I was going to change Ghana and I was going to transform Ghana. We're going to radicalize you thinking everything, you know. Then I realized that is not the approach. You don't change things by trying to force change.
Yeah.
Just put your ideas out. Like you have grown a seed. Let it stay there. It will germinate.
Yes.
It will grow, and things gradually will change. So I didn't exactly tone down like to say there, you know, but it was like, let me change the approach, you know. So like you said earlier when you were introducing me, you said I was doing thought-provoking plays. Even though I was not on the radio doing the hardcore political commentary, when you look at the side of the retaining, I talked about the same thing. Our psyche, our thinking, what needs to change. So I just didn't like tone down. I just changed the model. You know.
Awesome. Okay.
And it's very, very interesting, Revo. Like I just met you and you are telling me whatever influence I think I had on you, and I'm like, oh really? You know, and I mean many people like that. Even now on radio, some of the most dynamic guys on radio will meet me and tell me, oh, we were listening to you.
Yes.
You know, so I realized you don't force the change. You put it out there. It will inspire people to do things that they want to do. And so, no, I didn't tone down. I'm still very, very, very vocal. You know, when I drop a few things on Twitter, people are like, hey, you see what gets
So back then, if we had Twitter back then, it would have been dangerous.
That it would have been dangerous.
Wow.
You know, but Twitter is very dangerous. Of course, now I'm not on any move. I'm just sitting in my room.
It's very addictive.
And I put some few things down.
I mean, the fact that you can just sit there with just 180 characters and throw your mind out there and leave people thinking.
And leave people thinking.
You just tweet and then you leave, come back and get a lot of reactions.
Yeah.
Wow, super impressive. Now, your most hilarious character, of course, my personal favorite, you know, on stage has been a Fiastrebo. What went into this characterization, and what were you trying to impart to Ghanaians with, you know, her character beyond the humor? I don't know your sister, your big sis, but I have a feeling she was the one you were. I mean,
no. Interestingly, as a creative, you always have to think of new ways of doing things.
Okay.
You know, so in my own review of my performances, there's one point that I was thinking, oh, they come and see KSM, I'm playing Lasisi, I'm playing, it's still me. What can I throw out there as a character that would be a little different from what they've seen all this time? And then somehow it just occurred to me, why don't you play a woman? I'm like, oh wow, that would be exciting. You know, so that was the first thing. I just decided just to change what I do on stage. Let me play a woman. And by the way, I was looking for a name for the woman, and I decided Efia because my mother is called Efia.
Okay.
But my mother is very gentle, you know, and she's called Efia Foriwa. I said Efia Foriwa, I can't imagine, you know, I needed a
fierce character.
Fierce character. A Sibbo, you can't beat the name Sibbo when it comes to
Laughing Stone.
Laughing Stone, thank you. So I just said, okay, she's called Efia Sibbo. And then bam.
It went.
Like you said, is the most hilarious.
I
think she was my biggest hit. It was the only show I did that my performance was on a Saturday. I had on Thursday that my tickets were sold out.
Before?
Before.
Wow.
Fiasibu. So
kudos on that. I mean, it's been years since you brought up this character, but I feel, the impact is still being felt up to date. I mean, you did a good job with that. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
So far, Ghana is still doing very well. Well, after almost 2 decades in the art space, what has been the main pillar of its process and progress, I should say, and any lessons you've learned since you set up Sapphire?
Well, I think one of my secrets of my success, and it's good I mentioned it here on YFM, because I work with the youth a lot. If you see my director right now, young guy, your age, the producer, possibly even younger. I just work with younger brains because I see that they have the energy, they have the enthusiasm. So me, I'm laid back like Olu. I'm in the background, and I'm in directing. And then they are learning. Right now I can confidently say my my director Richard Abua, I think is one of the best
in Ghana.
And please don't go and push him because you heard me say this, so he won't come.
HR, you heard it, right?
He's learned. There was a point that every time before a show comes out, I have to watch what he has edited, and I'll give him my corrections here and there. Now we do a show, I just wait till Friday to see the show because I know he's got a down plan. So that's what I'm talking about, So all these years, people that have been at the helm of Safa are more the younger brains, very dynamic, and maybe that's why it always feels young and refreshing and
fresh,
dynamic.
Although it's still you in there. I mean,
yes.
I sometimes say he's KSM of all ages. I mean, KSM for the young at heart, KSM for the old, for the matured, for the in-betweens. I mean, all of us who are in there, for the Ganj, for the George. I mean, everyone has a little bit of something they can get from KSM. We've talked so much about the career KSM, the American Burger KSM, the returnee KSM. Let's speak about the family KSM. Let's talk a little bit more about your family. I understand you have 4 children. How's your relationship like with them?
I actually have 5. And I'm using the same formula that my dad used. I've looked at their strengths and their passions and everything, and I'm guiding them. I'm guiding them. So now they're all doing very, very great. Incidentally, all of them happen to be outside Ghana now, which is a bit sad, but they are working there. The first one is working with an IT firm, and they do startups. And they guide you digital thing. The second one is a medical doctor. And then the third one is into child development. Special development for kids. Then there's one who was with me at Safa here, but he's now moved back. And then the fourth one is what's his face?
The popular one?
The popular Black
The famous one?
Yeah, famous Black.
Yeah. He's done a lot of good works.
Yeah,
I was recently reading I think it was a feature on him on one of the websites. I think I read it on GQ or I've forgotten the site. But I mean, he's doing so much for himself when it comes to music. And a lot of people don't really know that is your son.
That's my son. That's my last one.
Wow.
You
did a good job.
Of course, and a great wife who I'm happy to have had, because how I say you can only guide a child to develop. I think my biggest weakness was this. There's a time in your life for your children, they need a father. They need that figure. They need that control. And then later on, once you've molded them, then they become your friends. And then they hang out with you. I think my parental error was that I was hanging out with them too long.
Too long.
I never really came out. I think I failed in that father control role. I was their friend for too long. And thank God I had a wife who was
they're instilling that.
They're instilling, making sure the controls were put in and everything. Wow. So she did fantastic, and I'm always grateful to her. So
God bless her.
Yes, she forced me to do the show.
Yeah, and then she became the sharp figure in there.
She is.
You once publicly, I mean, this is quite sensitive. You publicly spoke about the delinquent ways of one of your children. How difficult was it for you to come out to speak about it first and foremost? And what key learning points have you drawn from this experience that you can share with other parents? I mean, there are a lot of parents locked in now. What did you learn from this experience?
Well, I shared the story then, because I know there are many parents who are going through that, And the amazing thing about when I shared my story was the number of people that called with similar problems and how I had helped my son through, so I could advise them, well, this is what I did, why don't you do this, why don't you do that, So I shared it simply because it was a pain. And I wanted people out there to understand that, hey, like you said in the beginning, you don't know my cries, you don't know my worries, and there are many we didn't get into. But this was just to let people know that these things happen, and when they do happen, be there. Be there and do the best you can. I'm happy to say that. I look back now, and I'm glad that we were there, me, the mother, everything, we were all there and helped, So that was the story. Then that I decided to, and I was amazed the number of people that would call me privately and tell me, KSM,
I'm going through the same thing.
Too,
Wow. What, in your opinion, is the most challenging part of being a parent? I mean, personally. And what values must every parent arm themselves with? I mean, for people like myself who are about to get in there, I mean, I don't have a kid yet, but I have plans of getting one very soon. I mean, how should we arm ourselves?
Well, I think what I just said, they now, when they are kids, they need a mother, they need a father, not a control freak.
Yeah.
But they need strict guidance.
Yes.
And especially we should all be aware that now the world has changed.
It's developed.
IT has changed everything. So even the thinking of the kids, I call them digital thinking. The way they think, the way they respond to things, the way they process information is so different from the way I did. Okay. So I think all parents should step back every moment to try and appreciate what their kids are going through. Understand it, at the very least.
Understanding is very important.
Yeah, this is why they are coming. So once you understand it, then you are able now to give them feedback and direct them, But it's so important that you understand them. And that's the advice I'll give you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, since we're speaking about family, I have my second surprise for you. I have some of your family members on, but before we do that, kindly put on your headset for me. Dad, that's yours. Great. Yes.
Oh wow.
That's yours. Yes.
Bravo.
Yes. Great.
Okay.
Guys, don't forget this is the Y Leaderboard series right here on Y107.9 FM. We have KSM in the building with us talking. Whatever it is that you have for him in terms of questions, kindly send it through with the hashtag Y Leaderboard series on WhatsApp is 0202222073. Now, I have a few people on the line.
A few people?
Yes, a few people on the line. And I wouldn't want to introduce them. They're going to introduce themselves, but if you can hear them. Hi, guys.
We are
live on Y107.9 FM. Our Papa is in the building. KSM, kindly go ahead. You might want to introduce yourself, by the way, because he's...
what's up, Papa? What's up, Papa? I'm the man them call out for Romanus, O for Manus, M for Manus, A for... Dada.
Sorry?
Radio City.
Can you mention your name again?
My name is Romanus.
That's Foster Romanus.
Foster Romanus. The answer
My papa.
You're the man. You're the man. Foster, how are you, man?
I'm great. I'm very awesome.
This is a pleasant surprise. And
wow!
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. I wasn't expecting this at all.
I think there's another person on the line.
There's another person on the line.
Can you hear him?
I go.
Hello.
I go.
I think it's not, until you open him, he's not coming. He's knocking.
Oh, you say I go. I'm.
Oh, I'm happy I can hear him now. Please, Daddy, I've been calling your line like almost a week now, and when I come and look for you, the house girl says you are asleep. I don't know if you sleep 24 hours. Please, it's my prepaid, the prepaid. I need to pay the prepaid.
My son, how are you, man?
Please, put the how are you somewhere, please. Please, my sister that made me prepaid it here. Papa K, you have abandoned. Look at Foster. His face is all grown. He can't even go to the barber shop.
No. You guys, you don't look for your father.
Our father said we should pack our things and leave home and go and set up our own life.
Not true, Charlie. Now I become a man, so you guys all you dog me.
Who for dog you? You don't be one I girlfriend. Who for dog you also?
You get me?
Yeah.
Foster.
Yeah.
You guys are part of the biggest faces in Ghana's comedy industry. I mean, you guys have done it all. And before you were figures like KSM. He's right here with us. I mean, deep inside, what kind of person is he to you? What have you learned from him so far? I mean, when we mention KSM, what comes in mind?
Okay, so let me be frank with you.
Yes, last born first. Why?
Look your head and look my head. Who be last?
Can you guys comport yourselves? Can you guys comport yourselves?
But look at my head. I'm the headmaster. Today I accept. My head is sick. Today I'm accepting it.
Headmaster. Have you ever seen that the headmaster talks before the assistant headmaster?
Foster. DKB.
Yeah.
My Foster and Kasawati. My name Kasa. Odi my name Fa.
I know.
Did you also audition?
Kafra.
I don't know shoe shine.
Don't leave me.
Foster Kasawai.
Oh, Charlie, let me say this today. KSM is more than a father, and one of the things I really like and love about him is the fact that he will always encourage and motivate you. He is always available. Once you go to him, KSM will tell you, oh, do it this way, do it that way. And he will let you know that, this thing you did, it blew me away. Like, how did you do it? You are awesome. And that's one thing I love. And I learned my satirical side of my comedy career from him. I mean, truth be said, he's the first person who I saw doing, something satire, trying to pick up on, political issues. And it's one of the things I've learned from him, and the fact that his doors are always open. He will come to any show you invite him to. I just only hope. But he will make sure he comes. And you don't come and, Bombay SM, a brap, and you don't reserve your no. He is always there to support, standing ovations. I don't hear joke inside. I remember there was a time I did a joke. He was seated in front, and I said, it's not easy to do a joke with the king of comedy seated at the front seat. King of comedy, Upa, and I just ran away.
That's crazy, man. Wow.
So yeah, I mean, I've always inspired in it, and till today, I still watch his videos that I have just to learn one or two, and yeah, I'm very. I think I was in his office one time. We had a very, very heart-to-heart talk, and it was very awesome. So yeah, I mean, this is the little. The rest of that, I write the book. And I write the book. Let the Q-Time boy also come in. Oh, Daddy, God really bless you.
Hello.
Q-Time boy.
Hello. First, if you have a script.
Please, use the plan B.
Plan B, oh.
Yes.
Any Yabako Zongo, hey, Ala KSM, we are rough, we try KSM, Yababoasu, and I script to and
that's the wrong script, please. That's the wrong script.
See, to be frank, let me tell you something. KSM is the first person who gave hope to Ghana comedy, to the fact that stand-up comedy is possible with a Ghanaian. At the time when Chapter House had totally was destroying Ghana comedy just so they can continue bringing Nigerian comedy. You know me, I have that. I'll say everything. I'll put the facts right. When Charterhouse was destroying us, and there was no hero for Ghana comedy. There was no hero, zero. These people were just having a go. They were having a field day, making people believe that it's not possible with Ghana comedians. But KSM was that only person that made us feel within that, it's possible for a Ghanaian. And then he became an inspiration to us, and he supported. Anybody listening who thinks, oh, he's a big fan of Ghana comedians, oh boy, the biggest fan of Ghana comedians is sitting in the studio right now. This man patronizes every single show of ours, even to the point where we did a show in Tamale. Guess who was the special guest we saw appear at the place? Accra went that. All the way Tamale. He followed us there. First, what was the name of the hall there? Radak Hotel. Yes, KSM was there, and he was full support. And look, once KSM appeared, the morale was off the roof. It's like how they call it. I see Luke appearing in front of NBC Food Project.
That's a wild one.
Did I tell you? No. Furthermore, a lot of people keep bragging that they were the first to do Apollo in Ghana. You know, Sarkodie was like he's the first among the young age to do Apollo. Ashami came out to say they were the first to do Apollo. The first original Ghanaian to do Apollo is KSM. Ask him. First Ghanaian.
We know they talk say he get Apollo first, so we talk say he did.
Apollo Theater. Oh, sorry, Apollo Theater. We don't want to stop.
You brothers should cool down. I've been in America so many times. What's wrong with you?
Man, shut up, man. Padam America now call you Kawalu too. And look, and to be frank, when I did my one-man show, Point of View, KSM was the inspiration behind it because he made one-man show look so easy. Like, you started to perform 1 hour. This man will just be doing it every year, left, right, center. I see what it took me almost 10 years to prepare for it, but he was the inspiration because I felt moved that okay, Charlie, if I'm able to do it, you know, if I'm able to, it means that KSM has been a good inspiration. And truly, I did it. It was an amazing show. Followed by Foster, I did this one-man show. I don't know why he says the show is incomplete, but meanwhile, the whole place is complete with people. I don't even get it. Like Foster or mental problem, Accra.
if I don't catch you people,
Reverend made that
finish.
And let me give you another hint. He did a theatrical walk, right? Which is a man dressed up with a woman for comedic purposes. KSM is the inspiration behind Madame Pelham.
Yes, Madame Pelham. And talking about that, DKB, if you don't bring that back, I will send my boys to you.
No. That was my unemployment days. Right now, I'm gainfully employed.
The last time I saw Madame Pelham was in Yesi music video, right?
Book back.
Yes, Colon, please bring that back.
Some of you think Madame Pelham is quick temper. DKB is quick temper. Madame Pelham has nothing called temper. She's just wild.
Charlie, you
listen, Papa K is the father of comedy in Ghana, and he has been the biggest fan, the biggest supporter, the biggest. In fact, he does seasonal meetings with us to forge forward, the whole spirit of comedy. That's greatness is about somebody else. Greatness is about another great person telling your story. It's not even about you telling your story. So, the interview now, because you're rough, this one you're interview now. Wow, first time on the bar.
I'm going to platform to your post.
Let me add one more. KSM is also the first to put us on TV. First, you remember? We went on a demonstration shoot. I said demonstration me shoot, but I don't go there.
Okay, Foster. I think I would have to invite you guys over to the studio one time so we do this, okay? We really need time to do this because you guys have a lot to share as well. But to cut you guys short, thank you guys so much for sharing your experience with us. I mean, we're here today.
You have cut that short. Just say it. Cut that short.
For the back, send me your mobile money number.
Reverend, girl, no, I don't know. Thank
you so much. God bless you. If we don't cut these guys, we'll finish. But I mean,
that was a surprise. That was a surprise.
Yeah, you have done it all.
I think they make my heart sort of like put it in a very relaxed. Oh, okay.
Maybe.
You know, and there was a time when comedy was like dwindling, and then all of a sudden. And what I really like most is that most of them are university graduates.
Yes.
You know, OBs.
All of them.
Sorry, I'm saying, like, you know, and they've discovered that, look, comedy is serious business. So even as university graduates, this is what they want to pursue. So if you're all listening now, I'm sure you are, Charlie, they've made me very, very proud. Very, very proud. And maybe they say I support them. It's just because they are doing such great work, and I'm always there, you know, to back them up. Yeah, great guys.
I'm very inspired. I won't even lie. I mean, I don't know how bad my sense of humor is, but I mean, I feel I can crack a few jokes if I'm good. I'll try.
That was
something.
funny.
That's you giving me vim. I like that. Guys, it's 11:30, about 30 minutes to the end of the show. Moving on, all right. You have blazed the trail for stand-up comedy in Ghana. I mean, these guys just attested to that fact. What are your thoughts on the pool of talent available now, and what must be done to improve it on unearth more talent? I mean, talents in general, comedians, musicians, I mean, playwrights, guys, I mean, everybody.
I think the first thing I'll say in terms of comedy in Ghana is that they are proof that we are making leaps and bounds in comedy. There was a whole era, it was KSM. You know, whatever it is, I do my yearly plays, whatever, and it was KSM. You know, but we had a point in our history of comedy development that there are several of them. I could name plenty. You just had two great ones on. There's Obi, there's Legacy, there's Comedian Warriors, there's name it. So that alone should tell Ghanaians that no, if you've moved from an era where it was just one person dominating it to an era where we have about 20 people that are doing great work, it means that there is progress. Movement is being made. So in terms of comedy, I think we're in the right direction. The advice I'll give them, and I always tell them one by one when I meet them, is fantastic, but keep working on your material. Develop new material. Because for a comedy, the biggest fodder you have is around us. The politics, the religion, the everything that we do, our behavior is all your material. So I keep encouraging them all, develop your material, man. Work on it. You know, and make sure that you are current. Because unfortunately for us, we don't have such a huge market. There's probably a little market that we're all playing in. So if the same market takes your jokes 4 times, they'll be, you know. So just improve on your jokes and work more. But the future is very, very bright, you know. After we go through past COVID and we get back to real performances again, you'll be amazed what these guys will come up with, you know.
I believe that.
Yeah.
We're going to touch on COVID in a bit, but before we do that, I mean, from the era of local slapstick comedy, I mean, the ones some of us grew up to. I mean, if you grew up in Kumasi, I mean, parts of Accra also really loved that back in the days. The people like names like Waterproof and Bobo Kala all come up. In Komode, Bus Stop, all these guys. You transformed it into proper issue-based performances. I mean, these guys back in the days will come up, crack jokes, get people laughing, but then with issues that they make up, funny stories that they make up. But you were able to transform issues that were quite crucial to all of us and then make us laugh it off, and in so doing, or by so doing, create extra awareness for these things. I mean, wake people up. Because after they laugh, they're going home, they're thinking, oh, true. What he mentioned is actually a point. You transform this. What, in your opinion, must be the modern comedian's biggest weapon behind their success on stage? I mean, there are a lot of comedians now. What should they equip themselves with in order to stand out, in order to be as successful as you've been or you are?
Well, the key advice, and I was just talking about this, is that they should really... comedy is amazing, you know. Look at a situation where, under normal circumstances, people would consider tragic or sad or whatever. And it could be tragic, it could be sad. But the role of the comedian is to look at the same situation, but get people to get a laugh out of it. And get people to relax out of it. So it is a craft that demands a lot of intellectual prowess. So my advice I give to the comedians, stay up on top of the game, you know, and don't look for the cheap laughter. You know, let them laugh, but throw in something that helps them think. Very, very important to me, you know, because when I come to a show and it's all laughter, that's fine. But I like those who have that satiric or occasionally intellectual things that probe you a little bit, to think a little bit. It doesn't mean you are now going to become a serious man and talk serious things, but something in there, you know, that causes you to think a little bit. So that's the advice I'll give them, you know. They should focus on their craft, be funny, be whatever you can be, but please throw in something. We are coming from a very developed country, you know, so we cannot afford to have laughter just for laugh's sake. We need laughter that makes us think. That's why some of my favorite comedians outside of Ghana, what's his name?
Trevor?
Trevor, thank you.
Trevor Noah.
Trevor is deep
he's
and funny,
from
but
South
the man
Africa.
is deep.
Yes, he touches on issues that have to do with Trump.
Yes.
I think he's one of Trump's least favorite people.
Yes, not one of them, possibly
I think
the most.
the most. Wow.
Chris Rock.
Yes.
Very, very deep. This guy who smokes a lot, cry. What's his name?
What's the name?
Something. Well, he came to Africa for some stand-up. Yeah, but I'm talking about comedians like this. You know, they'll make
Dave Chappelle.
Thank you.
Yes, Dave Chappelle.
Thank you, Dave Chappelle.
When you said smokes a lot, that was like, it has to be Dave.
Dave Chappelle. Very, very funny. But Charlie, the guy gets you to think. And I'm telling my fellow comedians, there's so much to think about in Ghana. So much to think about in Ghana. So go in. Don't be afraid.
What should they bear in mind when it comes to the business aspect of it? Because I mean, in as much as it's a craft that it requires a lot of passion. I mean, it's something you must love to do, but your pockets must not bleed.
Yes.
How have you been able to go through it? What should they look out for? What should they do when it comes to brands? I mean, a lot of them I've met have complained about the fact that brands don't really want to throw in money when it comes to comedy and that. What should they do in order to be bankable? I mean, brands that can bring in money.
That's an excellent question, man. How do they become? And the word you use there is
bankable.
The word bankable.
Yeah.
You know, an investor, whatever I can say. Let me put my money on this. It's bankable. Unfortunately, that's not their fault. But we haven't grown that investment culture yet that includes the appreciation of comedy and the arts in general. You know, we haven't done that yet, especially with comedy. So that's the angle. It's not their fault. So I would advise them, you keep on your craft, keep doing what you're doing, but don't wait and count for somebody coming to throw in money to you now. That time somehow doesn't come yet. Unfortunately for my fellow comedians too, Ghana is now a very polarized state. We are so partisan and polarized that if you're a comedian, you want to do some amazing funny joke on Akufo-Addo, where and vice versa. Look at what Obi went through.
Yes.
Because he cracked a joke on Mahama. MPP. You know, so that's my fellow comedians, that's the country you're living in now. It's polarized. It's partisan. So you now have the duty to, how do you weave yourself through this? And what is sad about this, Revo, is that it imposes self-censorship on the art of comedy.
Yes, you can't really
say what you want because they'll brand you. But that's not, and things have changed so much. Charlie, when I was doing Politically Incorrect, the first one, Charlie, JJ was in the house. I gave it to JJ, I gave it to him, and they were all cheering, including himself. To this time, who are you? Who born dog to go and give it to a president? They won't understand that, you know. So I think the country has gotten to the point where it's now very polarized.
Are we losing our sense of humor as a nation?
We are. We have become too partisan. We have lost. Are we losing all? We have lost our sense of humor. I can't crack a joke about the president. We all laugh because it's a joke, and I can't crack a joke about Mahama and we all laugh because it's a joke. No. It must be partisan. It is sad. It is killing our industry. You know, so we have now to find a way to manage it. I was telling Obi the other time when he cracked the joke, and this is not something I should be telling Obi as a senior comedian. I said, Charlie, Obi, Ghana there, Charlie, come with some political balance, you know. If you're going to joke about Mahama, joke about too small, it shouldn't be the case. But that's where we are, and that's our biggest challenge. Is we are living in a partisan country now, and our freedom of thought has now gone into self-censorship.
Do you think this is going to change?
I think it will.
It will.
It will. It has to change. And the only way it will change is we in the comedy front, entertainment front, should keep doing and expressing what we believe is fun. Let them insult, let them do everything, but eventually they're going to understand.
They're going to get used to it.
We didn't mean any harm.
You mentioned that we need to keep the balance in there as well. The neutrality, and not neutrality, I mean balance it on both sides. Don't let it look one-sided. I mean, I'm sure when Trevor started, he had this, attacks as well. But I mean, now they know that he's not doing it because he wants to attack him, because he wants to make something funny out of what is.
Yes.
I mean, that's a fair point too.
And one thing, advice I give them to us is, listen, if you're a comedian and you're making a joke about somebody, and everybody laughs except that person, you have failed.
Wow.
Your joke should be so sharp and so on point that he or she too has to laugh. So we have to get to that ability where we can make people laugh at ourselves. And then would have gone a step higher.
Wow.
Yes, sir.
Well said. Well said. I mean, you've dropped volumes of knowledge on this. You mentioned industry. I mean, it quickly drew my attention to one thing that I wanted to ask. Quite a number of industry players have called for support for the creative arts industry. I mean, from your experience on the local scene, what form of support, in your opinion, is needed for the creative arts industry? I mean, there's a whole ministry for that. What support do you really need on the ground?
I think the support we really need on the ground is support for each other. I think we as entrepreneurs of creativity must be down there, and we should be working. I admire Shirley from Port Manso a lot. Do you think if somebody comes and wants to give Shirley from Port Manso money, she wouldn't take it?
She would.
She would. But in the meantime, she's working. She's creating.
She's not sitting there waiting.
She's not sitting there waiting. And that's the advice I'll give to all of us. Please not sit down. Let's not sit down and wait for any government handouts. If it comes, great. But until then, that's why we call creative people. Let us create. And when we get to a certain level, they will come running with their money. Actually, this one, I want to put
That's
money
what I want to put in there.
But I think for the government side, what I should tell them to do, that in the meantime, if you're not going to be able to give money to and support the whole creative world, pick winners. And what do I mean by picking winners? There are some people who are bankable.
Back to the bankable.
Back to the bankable. You can't go wrong with Shelley. You can't go wrong with Foster, OB. These are people who have been drawing crowds. They are bankable. Lexi.
Can I say they are structured? Because I mean, anybody that wants to support, if let's say KSM wants to support people on the streets doing comedy, KSM wants to see someone who has proof of how much they can invest into the field if they are invested into. I mean, if I give him 1,000 Ghana cedis, I should know that, okay, he's able to pay for this and pay for that. There are receipts. The last time he did this, this is how much he got. I mean, the structures comes
definitely
in. And what you mentioned is very, very important, because if we can't support all, at least the structured ones should be supported. That itself will motivate the ones who are in there, who are not structured, to learn from structure, so that when the cake becomes so big,
I'm so glad that you have introduced structures. Yes. Because I'm saying pick winners. What makes them winners? Because they have a structure. They have some accounting system. They have some track record. So when they pick you, they know they are picking somebody with a track record.
That's true.
So for now, the government should concentrate and pick winners. Maybe 2 from TV, 2 from so-so, and then fund them with specific terms of reference. Make sure you deliver this, make sure you do this, and gradually we can start going from there.
We cannot be here. I mean, I'm lost for words now. We can't be here and not talk about your acting career and movies in Ghana. I mean, I'm not going to talk about you personally, but generally, what do you think about our movie industry now?
The movie industry is really struggling. I think you mentioned the word structures. As an industry, we do not have the structures. So I've said some place, and I got a lot of flack for it. I say what we have in Ghana is not a film industry. We might have some very dynamic directors, and we do have. Not that we may. We have dynamic, we have dynamic directors of photography, dynamic editors, But you know what I was telling them? I said, listen, you may have all the ingredients, but you still need to develop the recipe. If you are making a banquet, just don't throw anything. You start with this, you go to that, So we don't have the recipe. We have all the ingredients. We have film directors, we have cameramen, we have cinematographers, we have everything. Those are the ingredients that we have. But the recipe of having a structure, so that there's a particular way of writing, the skill, the acting, everything. We lack the recipe, but we have the ingredients.
And just as I asked about the comedy industry, do you think there's hope? Are we going to bounce back soon?
With the film?
Yes.
Yes. We're going to bounce back. We're going to come up with ways to bounce back. We have to. We have to come back with ways to bounce back, even if we're all going to have films wearing a mask and whatever. But I think there'll be a bounce back. This has been a major setback, but it has not. That counts to say achia, but we'll bounce back.
All right. 15 minutes to the top of the hour. I'm super excited, honestly. I wish we could get an extra hour for this. There are a lot of things to talk about. Before we get back, though, AD Kavinci is watching us on Facebook. Says Charlie, fire emoji. Stanley Asenso is also locked in. Big ups going out to my big bro, Timothy Kakari. Atikapa Adolphus is also watching. Emmanuel Usu Amwatin. Kojo Mano, our very own Kojo Mano, host of The Drive of Your Life. And Prophet Bernardo Usu and of Kami, Charismatic Anointed Revival Ministries is also watching. Heres Kekeli Clenam Jacobson is also watching as well. Guys, if you're locked in, WhatsApp line is 0202222073. Don't forget, in about 5 minutes, I'll be taking 2 questions from you at home. I mean, if you're locked in now, you have a question for KSM, feel free, send it through. What legacy would you want KSM to be remembered for? I mean, 5 years, 10 years to come, if we mention KSM, what would you want to be known for? The legacy.
Legacy is having left the youth of Ghana. I think the youth of Ghana is I call it my national service. Since I didn't do national service in Ghana, the youth of Ghana is my national service. I, as much as possible, want to impart knowledge to the youth. I really want them to radically change their mindsets. And I want them to adapt more positive demeanor towards things that they do. Because like you said in the opening, majority of them are the youth.
Yes.
Majority of you guys listening to me, you are the youth. So you can imagine how, if you have your energies coordinated and fixated and focused, the amount of difference you can make. So that's all I'm trying to do, that at some point when I depart, I can say at least I was able to influence the youth of Ghana in their thinking and in whatever they want to do.
So the first is, shout out to my brother Joe, the first is for the youth.
Yes.
For the youth. Now, I mean, for the majority listening right now who have a dire interest in going outside, I mean, going to Abuja in search of greener pastures, what is your advice to them? I mean, there are people who still want to leave Ghana. I mean, I talked to friends yesterday. I met a friend of mine at the car wash. He was like, Rev, he's willing to sell his car and leave.
Yeah.
What is your advice to them? Is there really green pastures on the other side, like they say?
If you go there and you are very, very, very determined, you are very focused, and you have the right frame of mind, yes. But interestingly, if you happen not to go, and you still have the same features of being determined, focused, and drive, you still have a chance in Ghana. But the fact is this: over there, they have certain structures that you can tap into that are missing here. People, as we speak now, people are crossing the Sahara.
Yes.
People are still doing this, and they're not doing this because they want to walk in the desert. They're doing this because they have a need to fulfill a certain level of living. They want to survive, and it's like, at any cost, I am going to get it. So can you imagine if we get to the point where, as a country, we start catering for our people and opening doors and giving them the support? They won't go. They have to go because they can't get it. So I will just say that, yes, I won't sit here and judge them and say, no. But I'm going to say that when you get there too, you'll be surprised that you don't have the vision, the focus, and the persistence and the support. You will be so sad and regret that you ever made that journey.
Your family members won't even mind you. I mean, out there, everybody they have their lives. It's not like Ghana where I mean, if you find yourself at a dental, you can go to your auntie's friend's house and say, "Auntie, I mean, call baby now, so I'm sleeping over."
No,
it's not done.
Well, that's why I was in the train.
Yeah,
I don't have family in the US. I mean, that train.
Checking the distance. I mean, you had a long sleep, but then it wasn't a comfortable one.
It wasn't a comfortable one.
You've had the opportunity of interviewing a lot of people on Thank God It's Friday show, which, I mean, I must commend you on that. It's one of my favorite shows, one of the longest standing TV shows, talk shows in Ghana. It's the marking scheme when it comes to talk shows out here in Ghana. I won't even lie about that. Can you recall your most memorable interview? One that, well, altered your view on your career as a TV host, as an interviewer, one that really changed your mind?
I think two.
Okay.
The one that I did with Farida Bedway and her mom. And Farida is this lady who has cerebral palsy, very smart. She's into IT and everything. Farida she's quite well known, and she came on the show with her mom. Because when I invited her, she says, if it wasn't for her mother, she wouldn't be where she was. So the mom and Farida came on the show, and their story for me is the most captivating to date. So captivating, and I learned a lot from that story. That was the earlier TJF. The latest, I think, I was really, really, really impressed with the recent one I did with Charlotte Say.
Yeah, Auntie Charlotte Say.
Yeah. I mean, I was like amazed, because where I was expecting it to come from, she swerved. She's still very open, very gentle, and does not allow negativity to get to her. She's very focused, So these two interviews, Farida Budwe and Mom, Shelter Say, I think fantastic.
We're the best.
But at this point, before I forget anything, let me give a big up to the man who inspired all this.
Wow.
The man who inspired the KSM show.
Okay.
Folks, I'm sure many do know him, Mike Egan.
Wow.
Mike Egan, when I was a kid, I was watching Mike Egan doing the Mike Egan show, and that's when I said, one day I'll do something like this. And to date, Revo, I'll be 64 in December. How many?
70 soon. 70 soon.
I'm 64 in December. To date, Mike Egan will text me if he thinks I've swayed too off.
Wow.
And correct certain things, and when he thinks it's great, he'll send a text, oh, that was fantastic. Or I don't think you should have been wearing this shoe. I mean,
he goes that far?
Oh, well, not petty. But So Mike Egan, if you're listening, big ups to you. Mike Egan is the reason for the KSM show success on TV. I thought I had to put that in.
No, that's great. It's good. I mean, great men appreciate great men who have been great to them. So God bless Mike Egan for this. You've brought laughter into the homes of almost every Ghanaian on television. I want to find out, what brings joy and relaxation to you? I mean, we know this is your job. I know it's fun, but aside all these things you do for us, what do you do what makes you happy and relaxes you during your free time? I mean, what do you do for yourself?
It's funny because my wife Mavis, she used to work for the World Bank for a long time. She's now a consultant, and when you see her demeanor, she's very corporate and proper. But I'm telling you, she's one of the hilarious comedians.
Oh, so she's the comedian's comedian.
She would throw something out and just leave it. I said, Charlie, I'll use it in the show. Sometimes she'll be at the show and say, that's my line, but I said it.
Well, that's where the inspiration is from.
So she keeps me relaxed, keeps me focused, and gives me jokes, So for those of you who know her, this corporate, strict woman, World Bank, Harvard graduate, no, concert woman. I'm sorry.
On the concert side, wow,
Yeah.
wow. That's good. I mean, I've learned so much from this interview today. Final set of words I want to find from you. I mean, what advice would you give to young budding creative minds who are trying to toe that thin line between following their dreams and making ends meet?
Yeah, very, very difficult one. If you're creative, it's very, 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 very difficult to make ends meet sometimes. You have to reach a certain level. I like your word, where you become bankable. Where you become bankable. But until then, I think the only edge you have is to create something new. Come up with things people haven't thought of before and do it in a way that excites people, especially creatives. I've always said that the word creativity should not only be limited to those of us in the creative arts. We need creativity from doctors, from architects, from pharmacists, from everybody. Which is, I think, something that we don't understand as a people. We think creativity is meant for the arts. But if you are the arts as a profession, your best bet is to deliver something new that people will talk about because it's different. And once you establish something like that, whether it's painting, whether it's poetry, whether it's this guy who came to do this magnificent thing here, whatever, something level of it that people will talk about, create conversation points, and people will start paying attention to you. Wow. So that's the advice I'll give to you.
Now that you've drawn my attention to that, was that a modem you were holding?
Which one?
What's the Bibisha was him?
Phone.
You have to pose with a phone. Wow.
There's a phone.
Wow. Thank you so much for spending time with us. Before I let you go, hello, Uncle KSM. It's really good that you are the guest for today. It's coming in from Araba Ade on Twitter. My question is, how do you get into character when you're about to perform or performing?
I spent time backstage. What's the name? Adele or Araba?
Araba Ade.
Araba Ade. Yes. I spend the time backstage. All the time they are playing the music and there are all these acts on the screen before I come. I'm locked in my private room in the theater and I'm concentrating, meditating, warming up like a boxer.
Okay.
Like pam, 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 pam. Because I have to build some energy. And that's how I get into the state of mind before I go on a performance.
I mean, we don't have all that space in here. It's not a private room, but we really beg of you to give us a line or two from Efia Strebo. I mean, let's feel the Efia Strebo in the building, right? And we've been talking to KSM for a long time. I want to hear Efia Strebo for a few minutes.
Oh my goodness! I wish you had told me, then I would really get into character. Like everybody is asking, I would have prepared and
for that.
Dazzled you. But right now, if I do it, I won't dazzle you, so I won't do it. So no.
In the top.
But you see that, man?
Okay. We have another alternative. So since we are wrapping up, all right? I remember when I used to watch KSM in the beginning, there was a way you signed out. We are out of here. Thank you so much, KSM, for joining us.
Thank you too, man.
It's been an experience.
Revo, you should be my guest. So you didn't make a promise public, have you?
I promise the listeners, if you're locked in now, I'm going to be on the KSM show sometime very soon.
Yes.
We will communicate the date out, but I'm on there. I need to tell my story as well. We're going to have fun. I mean, if you enjoyed this interview, you want the part 2 of it,
yes,
join myself and KSM on the KSM show. Very soon. Coming soon.
To a theater near
you. Wow, 57 past level, about 3 minutes to the top of the hour. It's been an awesome experience. To all of you guys that texted in, thank you guys so much for joining us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Every single person that joined us. I mean, the team that put this together: George, Ken, Edwin, Blase, the Lieutenant, DJ Ganj, Utopia, Emma, the entire team, man. Big ups going out to you guys. Let's make some quick cash right after that. We wrap up on today's edition of the Mid-Morning Radio Show.
Congratulations, you found the one station that plays Ghana's best urban music. YFM.